Assalamu alaikum student. I hope you all are well and preparing very well for your final midterm paper. You appeared in your paper and on your request, today elaborate. I will elaborate to all of you again the report, the topic of report, because we have already covered it, and it is also included in your midterm syllabus. But you people face difficulty while solving the MCQs related to the identification of the types of report and identification of what is the report. So, on your request today, I'll again elaborate the topic of report, that what is basically report and what are the basic characteristics of report. And after that, I'll elaborate again the types of report one by one. Starting from the report, let me show you the slides. Here, the slides are visible to all of you. We are going to start our topic of report writing, starting from what is basically report. Basically, we see, I'll elaborate through examples that we see many examples of reporting in our daily life. For example, a nurse at the hospital reports to the doctor in the patient ward about the condition of the patient. A supervisor, for instance, at the end of the day, reports to the manager of the progress about the, reports to the manager the progress of the work of which he supervised throughout the day. Similarly, a manager of a bank sends a periodic report to the head office on the state of deposits, advance, overdraft limits, etc. So during the period, what happened? You give report to the manager, to his or her uh, boss, any other person. So an other manager posted in a remote rural area reports to the head office about the difficulties faced in sanctioning loans to farmers. This is also a report. So a publishing firm keen on introducing a new series of paperbacks into the market has to task its marketing research team for a report on the current reader preferences. Similarly, the managing director of a bank would like to get a report on the efficacy of the measures introduced by the bank to promote efficiency in the branch offices. From time to time, government sets up committees and commissions to report on various issues of social, political, and economic importance. So the different committees submit after research and survey submit their research on the basis of which major decisions are taken. So such committees meet from time to time, work out a detailed plan to conduct surveys and collect data from various sources, and finally they submit their findings and recommendations in the form of a report, technical report or business report. The report is the word report is derived from the Latin word reportory, which means to bring back. Over a period of time, it has evolved to mean the gathering a collection of information, unbiased information. So, collection of information providing evidences, unbiased evidences basically is a report. A report is a document in which we provide the facts, the details uh, to other person, and we give information about uh, certain things to another person. So reports are a part of our lives, starting from school progress reports through news reports on television and radio to many kinds of reports we are required to submit in the course of our work. But what is a report? Again, what is a business report? A report is business report, but basically usually a piece of factual writing based on evidence containing organized information and our analysis of a particular topic. So, a factual writing which based on evidence which contain organized information or analysis of a particular type which is submitted for the purpose of providing detailed information to the required person is basically a business report. It is a major form of technical business professional communication. At workplace, we have to write reports of various types. A person transmits certain facts, ideas, or suggestions useful for another person through a report. It can also be the description of an event or a condition. So report is written is a written communication of factual information on a specific subject presented in a proper order and in a formal manner. So this is basically report which is written at the workplace to give information like daily routine report, finance report, budget report, etc. Why do we need to write report, and what is the significance, and what is basically the importance of writing a report? So basically, a report is a basic management tool which is used in decision making. Hence, it is extremely important for all organizations, especially for large scale organizations that are engaged in different activities which are handled by different departments. Because their top executives cannot keep a personal watch over all these activities and all the departments. That's why they have to base their decisions on the reports from the heads of various departments, because the heads of various departments provide them detail daily basis, weekly and monthly basis, and they take decisions on the basis of those reports which are provided to them by the heads of different departments. So reports bear a lot of significance both to the organizations in which they arise, they are written, and to the organizations they are submitted to. So we can say that report is mm, uh, enable decision making and problem solving in the organizations. Reports also help the authorities in planning new ventures and in evaluating men and material. So, reports are important means of information dissemination within and outside the organization. So, reports are the basic and major way of spreading information within organization and outside the organizations. Reports basically serve as a measure of the growth, progress, or success of an organization. Reports also serve as a valuable repository of information. So reports reveals gaps in thinking, and major decisions basically are made on the basis of reports in all organizations. So reports develop certain skills in the writer, the person who writes the report. This is also important for that person. It is also important for that person because it improves the writing skill of that person, and it also reveal the skill of that person to his her boss, that the person is competent and he can write the report very well. So it was the importance of the report. Now I'll elaborate the objectives of the report. Basically, what are the objectives of the report? I also gave questions related to the objectives and importance of report to all of you in the mock midterm paper. So, objectives of the report's primary objective. The primary objective of any report is basically to provide a basis for decision making and for taking action, which I already told you while elaborating the importance of the report, that major decisions are made on the basis of the report and major actions are taken on the basis of the report. This is basically the primary objective of the report. So the secondary objective of the report is to provide information to other persons within organization and outside the organization. And also to maintain the record of the organization working projects, etc., the detail about what is going on, what happened um, in the past. So all record is maintained in the form of the report. The next primary and secondary purpose objective of report writing is to give recommendations through reports. Recommendations basically reach to the authorities and they basically take decisions on the basis of those recommendations. So further objectives of the report. Reports basically present a record of accomplished works. For example, a project report usually present the record that what is going on the project, how much work has been done, and how much the work is left, which will be done in the future. And so reports also record an experiment. For example, primary research report like laboratory report, the experiment which is conducted and the report. So, which an experiment which is conducted in the laboratory, that experiment is also written. So, report, record, an experiment that is preserved, that is recorded, and that is saved. So, reports record research findings are technical specifications. For example, a report on the details of a new product. Similarly, reports document current status. An inspection report is written on the current state after looking the site and after evaluating the project which is ongoing. So, reports basically record and clarify complex information for future reference. For example, a report on policies and procedures, because they make clear the information to the authorities and they made decisions on the basis of those reports. Reports present information to a large number of people, like monthly report and annual report. Annual report is written and information is provided to a large number of people. Reports recommend actions that can be considered in solving certain problems. Recommendatory reports are written to provide action to take the actions and for the purpose of solving problems. So if there is problem and someone assigned other person to inspect the problem, evaluate, go through the analysis of the problem and suggest us suitable actions and give us recommendation. So on the basis of the recommendatory report, the actions are taken to solve the certain problems. So components of a business report. What are the components of business report? Basically, the key components of business reports are five. The first component of business report is the reader, which is the top priority, because reader is the person which is considered while writing a report. The person who is writing report, he will always consider the reader for whom he is writing the report. So he will write his report while keeping in mind the background knowledge, the educational level, and most importantly, the need, the requirement of the reader, that what basically the reader wants about the report. What is the purpose of the reader for which he has assigned that task of writing report to me? So keeping in mind the need, the requirement, the purpose of the reader, the writer will write the report. So the top component and the top priority in writing a business report is your reader for whom you are going to write the report. You have to keep in mind your reader while writing a report, because you have to fulfill the requirement, the demands, the needs of your reader who assigned you that task of writing the report. So you will write your report according to the requirements of the reader. The second person is the writer who is going to write the report. That is also very important, because if he is well aware, if he is competent, he has grip on writing, and he has the skill of report writing, then definitely he would be able to prepare a presentable report to his her reader. That's why writer is very important. The next point is objective. That what is the objective behind writing a report? Why that report is going to write? And so the next point is subject. It is also very important to keep in mind your subject while writing a report. And last but not least is the structure. Structure of the report. Report should be presentable, and report should be clear. Report should be formally structured. This is basically the format of the report, that you conducted the research, you have the ideas, you have the recommendations, but how would you present your recommendations? That is very important, because 60 to 90% effect of any message depends on and the non-verbal. So here structure is basically the non-verbal way, that how you will present, how will you compile your report. So the structure is basically the format of the report. How will you organization, basically the organization of your report, which we will study, that how to organize your report, what is the structure of what should be the structure of the report. That is very very important to make clear your point to your reader. So these are the four components of a business report which are very important: the reader, the writer, objective, subject, and structure. You cannot compromise one at in place of other. So now we are moving towards the characteristics of a good business report. That how can you make a report, a good business report? And in this section, basically we will discuss the important characteristics that all reports must have. Because in business report, the purpose can be to inform, persuade, motivate, or express feelings, or combination of these. That's why it's very important that you all must aware about the characteristics of the reports. First characteristic of the report is the precision. Precision gives unity and coherence to the report and makes it a valuable addition, a valuable document, a presentable document. Effective reports must clearly reflect their purpose. The purpose should direct the investigation, analysis, and recommendations. The purpose basically determines the format, content, sequence, and word usage in the reports. That's why your purpose should be clear to you. Uh, Hence, first the objective should be defined clearly, considering the expected response from the audience. So, keeping in mind your reader, first of all, it is very important that you should make clear your objective in front of your reader. So precision is the major and most important characteristics of a report. So the second characteristic of a report is factual detail. The report should be very detailed and factual. It should meet the audience expectations, because I told you that reader is very important. Your audience, your reader, for whom you are going to write your report, you should consider them while writing the report. So it should meet the requirements and the needs and the expectations of your audience, and you should add all the factual details which are demanded by your reader. The scientific accuracy of the facts is very essential for a good report. Since reports invariably lead to decision making, so inaccurate facts may lead to disastrous decisions. As your report leads you to decision making, that's why it's very important that you should provide the factual details. The accuracy of detail is mandatory while writing a report. The next characteristic of a report is relevance. And the facts basically presented in a report should be not only accurate but also relevant. While it is essential that every fact included in a report has a bearing on the central purpose, it is equally essential to see that no relevant information is excluded. So, irrelevant facts make a report confusing. Exclusion of irrelevant facts renders it incomplete and is likely to mislead. So, relevancy of facts is very important uh, in your report, because not only providing the facts, relevant facts which your reader requires should be added in the business report to make it the good business report. Your report should also be reader oriented, because your reader is the top priority in your report. A good report always reader oriented. While drafting a report, it is necessary to keep in mind the person who is or the person for whom you are going to uh, write the report. So it is necessary to keep in mind the person who is going to read your report. A report meant for the layperson. Um, uh, and because a report meant for the layperson will be different from one meant for the technical experts. Because if you are writing your report for a layman, that then it would be totally different from the report which you are writing for your boss, for your head. And the next component of the characteristics of a report is objectivity of the recommendations, the most important and the very important aspect of writing a report. If recommendations are made at the end of a report, they must be impartial and objective. They should come as a logical conclusion to investigation and analysis. They must not really reveal any self interest on the part of the writer. You should uh, mm, be objective while giving recommendations, because on the basis of your recommendations, decisions are taken. So you should keep it in your mind that your report is the basis for the decisions. That's why you should be objective while giving recommendations, and you should put aside your personal interests. The next point, the next characteristics of the report is clarity. Clarity means you can say using simple and clear language. A report is written in simple and unambiguous language. It is a document of practical utility, so it should be free from various forms of poetic embellishments such as figures of speech. It should be clear, brief, and grammatically accurate. A good report is absolutely clear, because clarity basically depends on proper arrangement of facts. Report writers should make their purpose clear, define their sources, state their findings, and finally make necessary recommendations. So they should divide it, their report into short paragraphs with headings and insert other suitable title to achieve the high quality of clarity in the writing. The next, after clarity, the next is brevity, which is also a very important characteristics of writing a report. Brevity, a report should be brief. Brevity should not be achieved at the cost of clarity, nor should it be at the cost of completeness. So sometimes the problem being investigated is of such importance that it calls for a detailed discussion of facts. So in this situation, you should add the detailed discussion. But when you feel, when you see that there is need of brevity and you can make your writing more concise, then include, then you should go for uh, conciseness, and try to bring brevity in your writing, in your report. And the next characteristics of a report: grammatical accuracy and special format. Grammatical accuracy definitely is very important. And the accuracy of language of a good report is of fundamental importance. It is one of the basic requisites of a good report, as of any other piece of composition. So remember that faulty construction of sentences makes the meaning vague and ambiguous, and it also grammatical inaccuracy, basically grammatical inaccuracy also leaves a negative impact of the writer on the reader, that you are not able, you are not competent to write well. That's why grammatical accuracy is very important and one of the major characteristics of a good report. Special format, and this is basically the structure which I already told you. The technical report or the business report uses a defined format which include the cover page, the title page, table of contents. It includes the explanation of abbreviation, the list of illustrations, letter of transmittal, and appendices. So these have to be prepared according to the set standard, according to the format which you are following, and which have been assigned to you by the organizations. So it is very important and that you follow the certain format which is assigned to you. The next characteristics of a report is homogeneity and documentations. Homogeneity, a report should deal with one main topic, means relevancy. All the sections of the report should focus on one topic. If you have other things to discuss, so you should write another report. If you are going to write a recommendations report, you should go for the recommendation rather than giving the other mm, uh, irrelevant detail. So if there is any other topic, any other point which need attention, you can write another report on that topic. So documentation, technical report or business report acquire more value when adequately documented, because it gives a non-verbal message to other person. It also brings clarity. So documentation is very important uh, mm, uh, for your report, and you will document your report according to the format which is given to you by your organization. So these were the characteristics which I elaborated to all of you. Now I'm moving towards the explanation of the types of the reports, which is very important. These are the types of report you can see. Are these can also be called the categories of reports. Basically, on the basis of purpose, frequency, mode of reporting, length, approach, and target audience, the reports can be classified into different types. Here you can see the informative report and analytical report. On the basis of the purpose, reports have been divided into informative report and analytical reports. On the basis of the frequency of the submission of report, reports have been divided into periodic report and special report. And on the basis of the mode of presentation, or you can say the mode of delivery of your report, reports are divided into two types: the oral report and written report. And on the basis of the length of the report, there are two types of reports: long report and short report. So formal and informal reports on the basis of approach are divided, and on the basis of the target audience for whom you are writing your report. So there are two types of reports: individual reports or group reports. So I'll elaborate few types of reports today in this lecture. First of all, there is basically informative report. So informative reports basically focus on documenting new information. Uh, Information. The main purpose of an informational report is to present the information in an objective, factual, and organized manner. So, informative report an informative report, as the name implies or the name suggests, basically provide all details and facts related to the problem. For example, it could be a report that attempts to trace the growth of a company. For example, if there is a company X in the automobile industry, so the report that will trace the growth of the company X in the automobile industry would be informative report. In that report, and in this kind of report, the presentation of all details that led to the growth of company X would be should be listed in a chronological order. And so, in a report of this kind, the introduction is followed by a presentation of information or facts, and then a conclusion thereafter. So, in informative report, basically you write the information in which you provide the information and facts, and then you write the conclusion. So, where all the details are collected in a brief way, you write your conclusion. So recommendations do not arise in this type of report. Keep it in your mind that you will not write recommendations in informative reports, because the purpose of informative report is only to give information. If you have been assigned the task to provide uh, and the information about the growth, about these things, then you will provide information about the growth. So that would be only informative report, because the main purpose of informative report is to present the information in an objective, um, factual and organized manner. And when we talk about this would be your informative report. So informative report only present information. An example is here. You can see a manager of a city's website might prepare an informational report for the city council. The report would provide statistics on the number of people who pay their city water and sewage bills online, etc. So the manager of the city basically has prepared an information report in which he provides the statistics of the people, on the number of the people who pay their city sewage bills online. And so it is only an informative or informational report in which the informations are given to the person who asked for that information. So the next type is analytical report. And basically, informative reports focus on documenting new information, but analytical reports assess information in order to propose a course of action. In informative report, you just provide information, but in analytical reports you also go for the analysis. An analytical report is also known as interpretive or investigative report. An analytical report analyzes the facts, it also draws conclusions and makes recommendations. In informative report, you just give the information, but in analytical report, you go for the analysis. After that, you provide you provide the facts and conclusions, and then you make recommendations. For example, a report presenting production figures of a particular period is informative. You are presenting production figures for a particular period. That would be your informative report. But if it is analysis, but if you are going to analyze the causes of low production in that report, then it would be analytical report, because you will go for the analysis, and after that you will write conclusion, and at the end you will give recommendations. So an analytical report comprises stages in which there is a proper identification of the problem, and then analysis, and after that interpretation of that analysis, and then you write conclusion and you give suggestions and recommendation. Thus, for the purpose of problem solving, analytical reports are written, and in analytical report you also need to mention your purpose. So these are the two types of report: informative and analytical. In informative, you just give information, and in analytical, you go for the analysis, and you go for analysis and recommendations. So our next categories of reports as periodic and special reports. And basically, periodic reports are either informational or analytical in their purpose, as they are prepared and presented at regular prescribed intervals in the usual routine of business. They are called routine reports. So periodic report can also be called routine report. They may be submitted annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, fortnightly, weekly, or even periodic reports uh, are routine reports submitted on daily basis. Generally, such reports contain a mere statement of facts in detail, in summarized form, or in the layout of prescribed form. Without an opinion or recommendation, here you have to just give information uh, on the basis of your given format. But you will send your report on the prescribed intervals, after prescribed intervals. So progress reports of various kinds, inspection reports, annual reports, sales reports, come under the category of periodic reports, which are sent on prescribed intervals. At times, the routine reports can be analytical and can be interpretive reports. For example, when the heads of various divisions in an organization submit annual assessment reports of their employees to their higher authorities, they assess the data and give their recommendations, and major decisions of promotions and various other decisions are taken on the basis of their reports. So, these reports can be analytical reports, but these reports are submitted on prescribed interval, uh, like monthly, daily, weekly, or annually. That's why these are called periodic reports. And the other form of this report is a special reports, which are related to a single occasion or situation. Special reports are not sent after on prescribed interval, not sent on daily, monthly, or annually basis. These are reports which are related to a single occasion or situation. A report on the feasibility of opening a new branch, a report on the unrest among staff in a particular branch, or for instance, a report on the causes behind the recent fire incidents in a factory, or special reports, because these are the reports which are written on special equations, and special reports deal with non-recurrent problems, because these problems are not recurrent and so uncertain, are on special occasions. The reports which are written are called special reports. And so this point is clear to all of you. Now I'm going to elaborate to you the oral and the written reports. As the name implies, the division of the reports has been made on the basis of their mode of presentation. So reports can be oral or written depending upon the mode of presentation. When you rejoin your duty after attending an international seminar and you meet your officer and report about the deliberations of the seminar, then it would be your oral report, because you're just reporting and giving the facts and details to your colleague or to your head. And this type of reporting comes under oral reporting. And oral reporting is simple and easy to present. It may communicate an impression or an observation. While oral reports are useful, written reports are always preferred, as they enjoy the several advantages, because written reports are written with full care. You can give details and written reports, and you can also written reports can also be preserved as a record. So I'll later bit tell you about the difference between written and oral reports. The oral reports, basically you receive immediate feedback in oral reports, but in written report the immediate feedback is not possible. Oral reports do not add to the permanent records, but written reports contribute to the permanent record. Oral reports cannot be referred to again and again, but written reports can be referred. And oral reports have less professional value, but written reports have professional value. So, on the basis of the mode of the report, when you are going to present something, when you are going to tell some facts to other person orally, that would be your oral report. It can be any type of report. And when you are going to write a report, you're going to present a written report, that would be your written report, which is more preferable at a profession in professional life. So, on the basis of the length of the reports, and the classification has been made as the long report and the in the form of the long report and the short reports. Reports, mm, as I elaborated, that reports are classified on the basis of the frequency, appearance, length, degree of formality, and purpose. So, as is evident, long and short reports are classified on the basis of the length. When there is a definite purpose, short reports are suitable as they are precise and concise. Their structure is not very elaborate, and the focus is not on the format as well. The focus is on the purpose. Sometimes the format is provided by the organization while writing a short reports. So short reports include the memo which circulate within the organizations, a letter in which you send detail to the other organization, in which you send information to the other organization. So letter and reports are the examples of the short reports. The short reports usually begin with an introduction, and after that, you just have to give the information, and then at the end, you write the conclusion. However, the format may be vary. It depends on the organization that which format your organization is um asking you to follow. In contrast, the long reports basically place a lot of emphasis on that format. In long reports, you need a standard format. It has got elaborate structure and consists of abundant information. Moreover, it is properly organized and analyzed. It is usually produced after detailed research and data collection. These can be further classified as informative report, analytical report, recommendatory reports. These are basically the long reports. So when the length of the report is long, it would be your long report, and but when the length is short, it would be short report like letter or memo. But the long report, the example of long report can be your thesis work. So the other types of the report is formal reports and informal reports. On the basis of the approach, two classification is there from informal reports and formal reports. Basically, mm, the nature and format decide if the report is formal or informal. A formal report is the result of proper survey. An informal is usually transmitted from person to person. It can vary from a few lines to several pages. Sometimes an informal report may include raw data that can be used at the time of need. It is generally targeted at a few people. The memo report is an example of informal report. There are, you can say, uh, and different types of informal reports, even minutes of meeting, expense reports, sometimes the progress report, which is written informally, status update. Informal reports, short reports are also analytical reports, visibility, justifications, and proposals. Formal reports, and basically it is prepared as per the requirement of the organizations. The language is also very formal. In the formal reports, the formal reports have all the elements of reports and follow the rules of written reports. The length may vary from a few pages to large volume. So these reports include annual reports, auditor reports at workplace, policy reports, interpretive reports. So formal reports are written formally, and informal reports are written in informal way. So other types of report is individual and group reports. This is the last categorization of the reports. Basically, when a report is classified based on the target audience, the audience for whom you are going to write the report. So, on the basis of that, when the report is classified, so there are two classification: the individual and the group report. A report presents the information in an organized manner in the most usable form to the set of people. So it will be a group report. It may describe the series of events to the concerned people. For example, it may present the government expenditure of the entire year to all the citizens of the nation. So annual report, which is going to send to the all the people of concerned authorities. So another report on the admission pattern in the engineering college can be presented to aspiring engineers and their parents, because that report is going to send to the large number of people, the groups of people. That would be a group report. And these two are the examples of the group reports basically. However, some reports are of concern only to an individual, are not meant for the general reader. These include the attendance report of an employee or an individual's progress report. These reports are of more interest to the top authority than the anyone else. So these reports are called individual reports. The format and design of individual reports may not vary much, but for individual report, and the formalities can be dispensed with, and a personal touch can be added in individual reports. In an organization, the marketing head sends a group report showing next year's projections to all the other functional heads, and the production line head sends an individual um, MIS report to another head of organization. Thus, hence, in the first case, one individual is sending his her report to a group of individuals. Whereas in the second case, an individual is sending a report to only one individual. So that would be individual reports. On the basis of the target audience, we can divide our reports into individual or group reports. If we are sending the report, if we are writing the report only for the one person, that would be individual report. And if we are writing the report which will be disseminated among the many people, group of people, that would be group report. So these are the types of report which I elaborated to all of you. And still, if you have any confusion, if you have any query regarding the types of report or what is report, then you can ask me in WhatsApp group. I would respond you. Now, I would like to say best of luck. Now, I would like to say very best of luck to all of you for your final midterm paper. Prepare very well and perform very well. Enjoy paper. Allah Hafiz.